this meeting of the Board of Health to order, and we'll begin with a roll call of the members.
Board Member Gall.
Present.
Board Member Lopez.
Present.
Board Member Reel.
Here.
Board Member Pecora.
Here.
Board President Pro.
Here. We have some minutes to approve from the April 15th status conference. I'll entertain, and the regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
So,
Member Gall.
yeah.
Board Member Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Reel.
Yes.
Board Member Pecora.
Yes.
Board President Pro.
Yes. Does anybody have any correspondence this evening? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to petition and hear visitors. Would anyone like to make any comments that are not included on our agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none. Old business, we have none on the agenda. And we'll move on to new business. We have an immediate remediation of an alleged public nuisance at 425 East Main Street, Keystone Real Estate Holdings, LLC, Kimberly Glen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. The city would call and swear in Mr. Plowman as a witness.
You swear or affirm to give us the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
If you could state your name, sir, for the record,
Brandon Plowman.
and employed.
Yes, I'm health director for the city of Bradford.
Okay, and how long have you been in that capacity?
Unfortunately,
And you were employed prior to that, correct?
yes, officer for the city of Bradford.
And prior to that, you were employed
Yes.
in the construction industry, yes?
Yes, for approximately 12 years.
Okay. And as in your current employment, you received certain certifications and licenses, yes?
Yes.
And those require renewals or, recertifications?
Yes.
Mr. President, I would offer Mr. Plowman as an expert in tonight's proceeding.
Accepted?
Okay. And in the course of your employment, did you become recently familiar with the property at 425 East Main Street?
Yes.
Okay. And that is owned by Keystone Real Estate Holdings LLC, correct?
Correct.
And Kimberly Glen as a member?
Yes.
Okay. And describe how you became familiar with that property recently.
Friday afternoon, I had received a phone call that there was some water coming from behind the building at the Keystone building. It was running down over the bank into a neighboring driveway. I went down and looked at it, determined that it was sewer that was not only coming out of the standpipe behind the building, but it was also coming out from underneath the structure itself.
And when you say testify Friday, you mean Friday the 18th?
Correct.
Okay. And you had occasion to take photographs of this incident?
Yes, I took photographs yesterday.
Okay. So I'm showing you what I've marked as exhibits A1 through A2, and those were taken by you on April 22nd, correct?
Correct.
I'm also showing you what I marked as exhibits B1 through B9, and those were taken by you personally on April 21st, correct?
Correct.
And those accurately depict the properties and depictions as of those dates.
Yes.
I move for the admissions of exhibits A1 through A2 and B1 through B9.
Accepted.
So if you could elaborate a little more on what you observed as to the water and any leakage in those photographs.
There was quite a heavy flow of water coming down over the bank. I did observe toilet paper that was on the concrete of the neighboring driveway. Toilet paper on the bank, up above, behind the building itself. A large flow, smelled, obviously, obvious sewage. It appeared that it had been leaking for quite some time.
And can you estimate on how long you believe this was leaking?
Well, after speaking with two of the neighbors, they believe that this may have been going on since fall.
And when you say you testify as to flow, you mean sewage?
Correct.
And in your expert opinion as health director, is this situation detrimental to public health?
Yes, it is.
And as such, do you deem it to be a public nuisance?
Yes.
And why do you deem it that way?
This is raw sewage. It's obviously unsanitary. All this water and these substances, feces, toilet paper, whatever's being flushed, rinsed down the drains. All this needs to be directed to the appropriate facilities. This water is running through people's driveways. They are driving in it, walking in it. There's a local business immediately next to these driveways. Also, this water is reaching down into people's basements and being injected back out into the general public through sump pumps.
Are you aware of the status of any water service to the property?
The water services, I believe, are currently terminated.
Can you make any recommendation to the board as to what the city would like to see happen following this course of action?
We would like to see that all of the unsanitary conditions be cleaned up, removed, properly disinfected, neighboring properties cleaned, and the sanitation be directed to the appropriate facilities.
I have no further questions.
You said that the water was turned off?
Yes, the water services were terminated today.
And the establishment that was open this afternoon, is it still open now, do you know?
Whether they're open currently. Yes.
Can they be open to serve customers with no water when they're supposed to be able to wash dishes, glasses, go to the bathroom, wash their hands?
Seeing this may be a concern.
How many other properties are affected?
At least 3 structures.
I'm gonna ask a dumb question. Is this associated with the Keystone, the new Keystone
Oh, yeah.
bar?
Yeah, all this is flowing from their establishment.
When you say a number affected, Keystone and 2 others, Brian?
No. 3 neighboring structures, not including the Keystone building.
I see photos of it going across the driveway. Is that the case with the other 2, or?
Yes, so there's 2 structures there. One of the structures is a rental property, multi-dwelling rental. The other structure is actually a business that is open for the public to come in and do what they need to do for that business.
Do we have the ability within the city code to close this business down during this time?
We do, and I do have a proposed order, some language for the board, if the board would like to hear a proposed order.
I would.
Sure.
Maybe, Mr. Hanna, I don't think the board heard any testimony on what's the cause of this? Is it just a defective lateral? Is it a lateral in main? Is it both? What is it?
Yes, thank you.
And what steps has the owner taken so far to fix the problem?
Sure. And Mr. Plowman, do you know the cause of this leakage?
Yeah, so this was a clogged lateral that backed up to the point to where it was not only coming out the vent stacks, but it probably created pressure underneath the building itself that had caused the plumbing to become detached. So the water, none of the water was being directed out through the lateral and into the main sewer line. It was all just basically dumping out from underneath this building.
You just said none of the water, none of the sewage, right? Correct?
None of the sewage, none of the water. Whether it was dish water, whether it was toilet, shower, any of it.
Based on your opinion, is it reasonable to think that a responsible business owner would have noticed this at a certain point in time? I don't know if you can answer that question, but I'm gonna,
I would like to think so. Again, I'd like to note that I called and left her a voicemail Friday. And notified her that, she would need to get this resolved.
just so I'm clear, the neighbors felt that this may have started back in the fall.
Correct. They were unsure, of what was really going on there until it had become to the point to where it was actually eroding part of the property.
From April 18th until today's date, did Ms. Glenn make any attempt to remedy the situation?
She had a plumber apparently go underneath the building and reattach some of the plumbing. I have not seen it, I don't know. And she had a plumber there today that apparently snaked the line, and broke it free, and whatever was in the standpipe apparently went down. I don't know that, what else is.
Mr. Hannah, may I suggest it might be helpful if you could lay out what the department sees as the problem, what the code allows the department to do, and what's necessary to fix this, and then what action you're requesting the board to take and why.
Sure, yeah. And I can elucidate that through testimony, of course. And Mr. Fleming, what course of action?
Well, you can do it either that way or just through offer of proof if you
Yeah.
think that's more efficient.
Yeah. He's more the expert in this matter when it comes to this. I rely on him for any, advice and recommendations on moving forward, what the city would like to see done.
Well, again, we would like to see all of the unsanitary conditions removed from behind this property, whether part of the soil be removed, things being raked up, and removed, and, the sewer functioning correctly in this case.
Well, let me do it sequentially so the board knows what they'll be voting on. The cause of the problem, as I understand it, was a defective lateral, right?
Correct?
That may or may not have been adequately fixed by now. We don't know that, right?
Correct.
So the water authority turned out the water and the plumber can't confirm that it's fixed until the water's turned back on, right?
Correct.
So the city, you'll have to have some discussions with the water authority in the morning as a department to see if they'll turn it on, at least for testing purposes. And if the plumber confirms that the lateral's been fixed, the cause, not the results of the overflow, but the cause has been fixed, right?
Correct.
Under the Board of Health regulations, I think it's section 239, your department has the ability to ask the Board of Health to remedy the public nuisance, right? Correct?
Correct.
And part of that, number one, would be to stop the damage, which was done by shutting off the water. And the cause of it may have been remedied, we don't know, right?
Right. Correct.
So Mr. Hanna, is part of the proposed order requiring the owner to fix the lateral?
Yes.
To fix the cause?
Correct.
So you're going to ask the board to have that as part of their order?
Correct.
Okay. And the code gives the board the ability to set forth a timeline to have the owner abate the nuisance, and step one would be to fix the lateral, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the board, you're gonna ask the board, I suspect, to give the owner of the property a relatively short amount of time to offer proof that the lateral's been fixed.
Within days, hours, it would be up to the board.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you have the damage that's caused. Public sewage out there has to be cleaned up, right?
Correct.
And it's not a minor spill according to those pictures, so it's going to take, I assume, some professional remediation, correct?
Correct.
A septic person or a plumber or someone that can.
Somebody licensed to.
Someone licensed to remove, sanitize, and whatever needs done. It's not as easy as just throwing a couple buckets of lime on it, because there's a lot going on there, right?
Correct.
So that would be part, why do you spell out actually that step of what you think the board should consider doing?
Given that there's currently no water, the city was concerned that there was testimony at the last status conference that there were 2 residents living upstairs. And without water, there was concern that, there were 2 people living in there without water. So the city initially said the premises shall be vacated. That was one idea. 2, the water service, again, if it's terminated, if it's shut off, perhaps it could be turned back on to figure out what this problem is. Once the problem is remedied, after that, the water service would be out of the city's hand, this department's hands.
Right.
Or-
But it would not be, from the city standpoint, it could be operational again, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. The sewage leak in all respects shall be fully repaired and remedied, the repairs of which being verified by a licensed professional within blank hours or days as of the date of this order. That's up to the board. The affected areas, including adjoining properties, shall be properly cleaned, remedied, and sanitized according to public health standards. The city health inspector shall confirm that the facility and premises are in full compliance with health and safety regulations by reinspection and further investigation. For those re-inspections, Ms. Glenn is directed to contact Mr. Plowman. And then finally, upon full and satisfactory completion of these within terms, as determined by the board or its agents and designees, these restrictions shall be lifted.
And that proposed order is all consistent with the authority the board has under chapter 239 of the Board of Health Regulations, correct?
Correct.
And the one thing I did not hear is a time limit when the property and adjoining properties need to be cleaned up.
And that could certainly be a timeline proposed by the board. I didn't put it in this certain recommendation.
Yeah, I think there probably needs to be a timeline in that because
Sure.
with it being indefinite, it's going to be very difficult.
Given the nature of the nuisance, it
Yeah.
could be a pretty compact timeline. And then what I did not hear, perhaps it's in there, that if the owner does not take these steps, then the city has the right to abate the problem and go after the owner's responsible for any cost.
Correct. That needs to be added too, yes.
That being regardless of the action the property owner takes, this problem for the adjoining owner is going to be taken care of quickly one way or another under this proposed order.
So the recourse, if she doesn't meet the timeline, is that the city will take charge of the cleanup and charge it.
Right. Is the order short enough that you can read it? Should we make copies for the board members to look at so they know exactly what the department thinks is required and what is authorized under the code?
I can provide this. I'll have to update this with the new language we're discussing, but certainly.
They're in the packets.
Oh, there, okay, thank you, Mike.
In the past, when we've had properties that had a plugged up sewer, and definitely they had a plugged up sewer in a water supply, condemn them and give them X number of hours to get out. Couldn't we do an immediate condemnation? Because you have to, that's a basic, essentially you have to have for someone to live in a house or someone to be able to do business in a house or.
Well, I think
the food service
I think the
industry.
proposed order says that the property should be vacated until everything's remedied, correct? Yeah. So it's tantamount to.
I'm just saying, in the past, I know when the officers themselves would just right on the spot condemn them.
Well, I know what the department's done so far is just proceeded under chapter 239 of the Board of Health Regulations. Condemnation's another pathway under
Right.
other regulations, so I think this gets you where you need to be without complicating things.
My concern is that the condemnation could be immediate. It could be done immediately, and this is gonna take a little bit to type up and get to it. But they're up there doing business, where they need, people need to be able to wash their hands and do dishes, they have no water,
No, I think they can rule on it tonight and it can be delivered to her. She already is aware, well, maybe you can do an offer of proof or Mr. Plummer can testify as to whether or not the property owner is aware of tonight's hearing and was extended an invitation to participate.
Yeah.
Given the history of this particular property, do we need to be very specific and detailed in this, with the language here, as far as what the recourse is if the steps are not followed? Because my concern is that we take step number 1, and that's to vacate the property. supposedly, and then 2 hours later, the people are still living in that property. What recourse are we gonna take at that point? That's my concern.
Well,
Do we need, I'm just asking, do we need that language in there, or do we go based on the city?
Well, I think it probably as it's proposed is it should be vacated immediately.
It does.
well, no, I think if we look here at what the order, the proposed order is, which is just a few pages in, okay, dated April 22nd, 2025, at the time of our meeting here. If we go down to the bottom of the first page, and we go through these one by one, I think maybe we can handle this pretty easily, and we can add what we need to. So it says, therefore, the board hereby orders the following. You shall immediately cease all business operations at the above address. Immediately. So as soon as we pass this, it can be delivered, from what I understand. Okay. The premises shall be vacated immediately. Number 3, the water service, if not already having been shut off, shall be terminated and shut off effective immediately.
Already done.
Already done. The sewage leak in all respects shall be fully repaired and remedied, the repairs of which being verified by a licensed professional within
48 hours.
48 hours. Okay. The affected area, including adjoining properties, shall be properly cleaned and remediated and sanitized according to public health standards
Within 72 hours.
within 72.
Anyone wants to change the numbers, let me throw them out there.
You know, Mr. Hanna and I had discussions earlier today, just because I want to make sure we were kind of thinking the same, that whatever he presents on behalf of the department was something I was comfortable that the board had the legal authority to do. So we were throwing around similar hours to what you're talking about, 24, 48, so I think you're on the right track.
Okay, the city health inspector shall confirm that the facility and premises are in full compliance with health and safety regulations by reinspection and further investigation. Okay, for a reinspection of the premises, you are directed to contact Brandon Plowman, Health Director, and it has contact information here for the city. Only upon full and satisfactory completion of within terms as determined by the board or its agents shall the restrictions herein be lifted. So I read that to say that not only does the sewage leak need to be repaired, but the property also needs to be cleaned before we release the order,
As well as the adjoining property.
as well as the adjoining property. So the business cannot operate until the entire Board of Health order has been taken care of.
That's how this reads.
However, then there have been comments by the board, and I guess maybe this needs to be 9 on here. The city, if this is not taken care of within the 70, if the remediation of cleaning of the properties is not taken care of within the 72 hours, the city then has the right to do it.
And assess the costs associated therewith upon the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
So I don't know if that can be put in, if you could modify this or have to be handwritten by somebody, which is still legal. If someone wants to write in number 9.
Sure.
Where were you suggesting, Mr. Hanna?
And President, I apologize, I see here the language I was looking for in the last paragraph there, in the event of non-compliance with any of the terms, the failure to comply with this order may result in further legal action, further hearings before the board, including fine citations. But that's what I was looking for, so
Okay.
that pretty much resolved that.
Are we looking for a motion to pass this order?
Okay, so
With number 9 agreed upon, yes.
Okay, so,
Can I ask a question real quick? Not to interrupt, but has the restaurant inspector pulled their health license? their food license, since they don't have water? Have you guys contacted the restaurant inspector?
I spoke with him briefly.
Okay,
I believe he was over there.
okay.
I make a motion, we approve the order for 425 East Main Street, as read and amended.
So moved.
Is someone able to get number 9 in there, either in a type format or,
Walker,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
we need a roll call now.
I'm sorry.
Board Member Gall,
Yes.
Board Member Lopez,
Yes.
Board Member Reel,
Yes.
Board Member Pecora,
Yes.
Board President Sproat.
Yes.
My next question is, after we're done with this, could we go across the hall and you guys could just change this up you have on your computer?
Yeah.
And maybe we could get them served tonight.
Yeah.
If that's possible, Brandon could run up there and just hand deliver it. Okay.
She said she was out of town.
Give it to her agent or representative.
And still, while we're on the record, Mr. Plowman, you did leave a voicemail with Ms. Flynn?
On Friday,
Okay.
yes.
And do you know if anybody from the city notified her of tonight's proceeding?
Yes, I'm sure we did.
Okay, Mr. Schreiber left a voicemail as far as you're aware? Did you? Okay. Oh, you did? Okay. And
What?
she knew about tonight's hearing?
So after this is over, we're gonna amend this order, like discussed and voted on.
Okay.
Is it the case we would still ask that the water be turned on in the morning to test the repair?
We're perfectly fine with that.
Oh,
He's gotta have a plumber there though at the time when you turn it on.
Yes, it's okay with it, we're okay with it, but
turned it on.
just to inspect the line.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to our second order of business this evening, which is a, second status conference on the nuisance property at 44, North Center Street. And status hearings have been somewhat informal where we have, set these up to gain information on the status of the renovations to the property. But I do want to make note that the letter that was sent to Mr. Simmons on March 12th, 2025, after the previous status conference, had some mandates set forth by the board. And the first mandate, which was in bold in this letter, read that a timeline or project plan must be developed and submitted to Mike Schreiber of the Health Department, which outlines specific steps moving forward in the rehabilitation process, including dates when work will be completed. Please note, this timeline project plan must be submitted to Mr. Schreiber by no later than the end of the business day on Friday, March 21st, 2025. And I'll ask Mr. Schreiber, you have not received that to this date, correct? Okay, so the first mandate set forth was not accomplished with this order. So we will proceed at this point to find out what the status of the property is.
Okay.
Mr. Simmons, before you speak, you and I did speak, I saw him, we spoke earlier today a little bit about this, but anything you said to me is not on the record. So anything you try to explain to me earlier that you need to explain now, so it's on the record and everyone hears it. So just for clarification, I didn't come back here to tell everybody what you said. You have to do that at the hearing.
Stand here, sit here.
I think, yeah, you can sit here, our stenographer's here tonight, so I think that would be a problem.
So my apologies, I had to do that. I struggle with any type of paperwork. I've got so much going on right now with the amount of properties that I ended up with that I didn't anticipate. And I'm just basically running in circles trying to just keep up, and I'm not by no means enough to do so. But I will say, on behalf of 44 North Center Street, the entire second floor apartment has been cleaned out. Floors are in the process painting. I painted all week, so it's pretty close to being done painting. I have poured concrete for the footers for the porch, so I can rebuild the porch. I began re-siding. I'm going to do vinyl siding on the property. I've started that, and I have all the siding there at the property. So I've been making a lot of progress. It's just been so many other things that are going on right now that I struggled with the timeline, because I'll get doing something and then something else will become more urgent, and it's constant right now with the amount of properties I have. I'm trying to alleviate some of those and getting rid of some of those and signing a couple waivers for the city. I planned on doing that to take some of them off my plate and just lighten the load, because I'm one person and there's just no way. I don't have enough time. I took these properties on and I didn't anticipate any of this stuff going on. That is because of past history behind these properties. I had no idea. And just kind of diving into it, I feel that I have been working diligently trying to catch up some of this stuff and make these properties much better than what they were when I got them. And I intend on continuing that process. I'm not gonna trust me, many times I felt like just up and leaving and saying, screw it, let the next guy deal with it. But I don't do that, and I won't do that. I'm gonna stick with what I've got myself into, and I'm gonna get through as best I can. That's the most I can offer for everyone. I still struggle with a lot of this, that I get something from the county, and here I am getting bombarded with all these things that I need to take care of, and it's like, holy cow. I never expected any of it, so, but I am working hard on it. That property on North Center has come a long way, and I do believe it's within reaching distance of finishing within a couple more weeks. Like I said, footers are in, sidings began, the upstairs apartment is completely cleaned out. That was quite an ordeal just to get stuff out of it that was left in it, so. But it's definitely in a much better place than it was by far.
What are your intentions with the property moving forward?
I really, if I could finish North Center Street and just sell that property, that would help me financially also regain some of my losses, what I've had to go through with some of these other properties, and help me move forward on the rest of my stuff. So that's my complete intent, is to just sell that property. I don't plan on being a landlord in this city, not even close. I'm not even gonna do that. I'm just gonna sell what I have and try and work on my property, and that's about it. I don't want to, it's just too much for one person. And I'm not prepared, I'm not in a position to hire several people outside of myself to do the work, so. But I wanna make sure I alleviate the problems the best of my ability, is that's what I can offer.
Any, huh? What's that?
The next property, yes.
Oh, yeah, I think we need to go one at a time though. No. So any other questions for Mr. Simmons before, I believe the city also has some updates they would like to present.
Mr. Simmons,
Yes.
you mentioned that you're currently in the process of doing the vinyl siding on the outside of the building.
Yes,
And just a second ago, a couple minutes ago, you mentioned that you anticipate being done relatively shortly with the whole building.
yes.
So maybe it would be helpful if you could list what is left to do in your mind, like what you're planning on doing.
Before you put up for sale.
Well, that's a great suggestion, because what I was going to request from Brandon is come over and tell me what you guys got on this property so I can alleviate it. Because I don't even know what is sitting on it that makes it deemed condemned anymore. The sewage has been fixed long ago. And I mean, for the most part, everything's, as far as I know, which I want Brandon to explain to me what I need to do to get that off of that list. So that way that's all. Because I don't even technically know what you guys still have on it, or they have on it, that's deeming it a nuisance, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that is a great suggestion, and that was what I was gonna request, that Brandon could help me understand exactly what they want for me to get done, so I know it's done, and then I can get that, move forward with it.
Okay. Have you had the opportunity, like the paperwork that's been provided to you, like in the previous month would have outlined all of that? Have you ever had an opportunity to review all that?
To be honest with you, no.
Okay.
And I'm just being honest, by the time I get done working and doing stuff, and then I got another problem over here to go deal with, and I get home for maybe an hour or two a night, and I'm done.
Okay,
And that's being completely honest, I haven't.
all right. So before we get to that, like maybe, Brandon, when the board calls on Brandon for his testimony, we will get to that as to
Sure.
what still needed to be done. In your mind, once you complete the vinyl siding on the outside, is there anything else in your mind that needs to be done?
Well, the porches, which I'm in the process, as I said, I poured the footers to rebuild them porches. That was the biggest thing of why they were sinking, there was water just sitting there, so I had to dig down a lot deeper and put some concrete in there so it's sitting on something solid.
Okay,
Once I do those, then I can start rebuilding the porches. Then that's, I mean, pretty much gonna alleviate all the problems. I think there's a couple windows maybe I might need to replace, which are not vinyl, which I wanna make them vinyl. Other than that, there shouldn't be, I mean, some skirting on the porch that allows, some time ago, I had to deal with a family of skunks that I was told living under my property, which recently, since I've been working there a lot, I've noticed they actually live under the neighbor's property that come over to this property. So, just certain things like that to make, to make the property look good and have it all tightened up, closed up, and no nuisance or problem or rodents getting in under the property and that sort of thing. Other than that, I don't think there's anything left outside.
okay. So in your mind, in order to do that, complete the vinyl siding, put the footers in for the porches, rebuild the porches, what is your thought process for a time frame for that?
Well, getting those footers in was one of my biggest things. There was a lot of water, and as you know, it rained right after I poured them, unfortunately. But I feel now I'm moving forward. The siding has begun. The porches will get built. I'm hoping within 1 to 2 weeks, as long as I don't have any other fires that I have to put out on the other properties.
Okay,
But I have been diligently working over there, even late nights, 2, 3 in the morning. I'm still over there painting at night, trying to be respectful to the neighbors, so I'm not making noise. So I'll paint or whatever, but just keeping it to whatever I can get done and getting it done.
So you have the footers poured,
Yes.
maybe assuming there will be, a couple other fires to come, maybe a couple weeks. Is that realistic?
Yeah, yes, going forward, because of looking back of how much I thought I'd be able to get done, and there's so much with all the other places that it's just, I don't have enough time. So yeah, probably a couple of weeks. My goal is to get it done as quickly as possible though, and get it sold. I may have a buyer, so. But I need to get all this finalized and then alleviated, and then I can move forward with that. That happens, then my finances get back to where I can manage my other stuff a little better as well.
Okay, any other questions? And we'll move on to,
I'd like to hear from
yeah,
the city first.
yeah.
Yeah, on behalf of the city, I'm looking at the letter from the Board of Health, March 12th, after the last status conference. And it was highlighted by the board that, number one, the timeline of the project has to be submitted to the department by March 21st. Mr. Clement, are you aware of whether that's been done? No plan been submitted, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And paragraph 2 of that same letter states that the exterior of the property must be kept in good condition, including timely disposal of any garbage or debris and maintenance of the grass during growing season. I know as of this date, it's April 22nd. What have you observed regarding the garbage, debris, and any grass as of this date?
There's still some debris out on the house. Some cinder blocks, different things like that out in front.
Okay. And you're certainly willing to meet with Mr. Simmons to go over what violations and what exists as of a nuisance, correct?
I would be willing to do that.
Certainly by property, Mr. Clement to the board for any questions specifically.
So what are some issues that we still have with the property that he's gonna have to take care
The structure is obviously inhabitable on the interior. There's still only electric service to one unit. Both units have gas services still terminated. I'm not sure whether water services are active. The front porch still needs significant work, handrails, guards, railing spindles, whatever it may be for that. Structural repairs, structural repairs to the rear porch. I know that the windows are gonna need some attention, and either the finish of the painting or the replacement of all the signage. That's just what I can list right off hand.
And I guess this is a question because it's a status conference. Either party can answer this question for me. Are there, workable bathrooms and kitchens in each one of these units?
As soon as I have the water turned on, I didn't know I had to have water on to work on the house. It's a ways out before it's even get. I have enough water bills that are coming that I don't need another one. If it's not being used, I don't understand why it's necessary. While I'm doing the work.
I don't think at any one state, we needed to have water turned on in order to
I've never heard of anything like
in
that.
order to continue renovations. Of course, you would need water turned on to test the plumbing once it was done.
Once I'm done.
Yeah, but so currently there are not bathrooms or kitchens in either one of the units?
There's both.
Oh, okay,
There's just not water turned on to them.
okay.
That makes sense.
Okay,
And
and they
there's
would be
not-
operational.
The power
if the water
upstairs
was
is not
turned
on because why is it on? If I have power there, I can still work in the building. And then as far as the gas, I don't need heat right now, so why would I turn it on?
Okay.
It's another bill. There's more bills that just keep piling up. under that.
Understand, yep,
Then I didn't see any
understand.
reason.
So if the water was turned on, there'd be sanitation and cooking
Absolutely.
ability and, okay,
Absolutely.
all right. That's just my question.
So, Mr. Simmons, I can appreciate your situation, but I guess I just want to give you the board's position. We met with you and you had appealed the public nuisance violation on your property, and we agreed to work with you. However, it's only been a one-way street here from the standpoint of you communicating to us and providing what we all agreed to. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got a stenographer that's costing us, we're here because of you.
Sure.
She cost us $300 for this hearing, which you could have probably taken care of. We might not have had to have an update had you provided the timeline and the status of the work. So I'm just stating that because sometimes when you have some skin in the game, maybe you would make an extra effort to try to provide what we all agreed upon.
Understandable, and to my defense, I bought this property from the county, which I didn't expect to do all this. It was a free and clear property that just got through on top of my head. I never expected any of this because when I bought it, free and clear, everything, it's done. I didn't know any of this was gonna come onto my lap. Otherwise, I would have never bought it.
So that's not a rabbit hole I really want to go down. However, we've been meeting like weekly for the last 4, 5, 6 months, and it's not the city's, the board's responsibility for somebody that's going to buy a property. You're responsible to do the due diligence. And I really don't want to get in the back and forth on that. But my point is that the board is spending a lot of money to try to support you. However, you're not providing the information that we had asked for, and had you, we may not even had to have this meeting tonight because we would have had an update and the board would have been satisfied with where we were at. I'm going to ask that Mr. Simmons, are you willing to pay for the stenographer for tonight?
Well, if you just heard kind of what I was saying, my finances are so far gone. If I have to, bill me, I'll pay it when I get to it, absolutely. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I just, right now, I'm chasing my tail with everything that's going on with this stuff, trying to just do something better in this community than off and run away like everybody else seems to do on these properties.
And I'm still trying to reach out to you as a board member.
Sure.
I'm just saying, I just was trying to explain our position from the standpoint of, you know, we're spending time and money as well to try to support you in your efforts with your property. So that's really all I had to say. Appreciate it.
I think our concern should, and Mr. Sims's concern should be the exterior of the property first. Because once it's up to code on the outside, you can take a while to do the inside as long as you're not trying to rent them out.
Yeah,
which you said you're not gonna do, you're gonna try to sell it.
no, I'm
but
selling, I'm not
if-
gonna do
if you
anything
could-
in this
if-
town at all.
I think
There's
that-
no way I would get involved in
If
it,
you could focus on the exterior deficiencies, that's the first step.
okay? And still request Brandon to come in and,
He said he's willing to talk to you and meet with you.
yeah, so I know exactly what is required, what's requested, that I have to finish before it gets to this, because as soon as I get the placard off, I'm pretty sure I have the fire. And the work, I'll still be the one doing the work. I just want to get it off from under my name.
Understood.
So what we're recommending is that Brandon will meet as ASAP, as soon as possible.
Could I make a
Sure,
suggestion?
sure.
I am willing to spend some more time on this property and with Mr. Simmons on this specific property. But I will issue a notice of violation and I will set a tight compliance date.
Okay. And you will notify the board after the inspection of the notice of violation and,
Yes, and
and all the
date not met.
applicable dates.
I would request that I
Okay.
would have the permission to issue fines and citations.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Okay.
We're gonna move to the next part.
Yep.
We're not-
Yes, we are. Okay, so, let's see here. We have, we have a public nuisance property continuation of nuisance order 388 South Avenue. We have an order on that. I guess it, Mr. Simmons, what is the status here?
So 6 months ago, the gentleman has not transferred the deed into his name yet. The man is from New York, he's got heart condition, he's been having an operation, got his son Brandon gave both parties contact numbers. Let the gentleman know, listen, you've gotta do something, get this out of my name, because this is not, I'm catching the heat from this one too, that I shouldn't be.
You have a bill of sale
Yeah.
in person?
Somewhere at home I do, yeah. I sold it to the gentleman, like I said, it's been 6 months. He went in, had heart surgery and all kinds of stuff, and it's like, regardless of your problems, it's now my problem that I'm dealing with the city still.
Well, I think the simplest way, if you have a purchase agreement,
Yes,
a signed purchase
yes,
agreement,
I do, I have a
Please.
notarized copy,
please get a copy to the city
I will.
and, we'll
I've even
keep that on
taken,
file until,
I've even taken it upon myself, the guy has some, a camper that's parked there now that I'm trying to move just to help the guy out, and that's another thing on my plate there. That's what I'm saying, I'm trying to get rid of some of these properties and trying to not have to deal with all this stuff coming back onto me, but there's only so much.
And you do want,
I
you
got
do,
30 so much for you also that I got paperwork, you can just.
To summarize this and make it quick, this is one of those continuation orders, much like a tax sale, where the property was purchased out of the repository, already subject to an order from the board.
Wasn't purchased out of repository.
September 25th of 2018 is the date of the order finding this property to be a nuisance. At that point, it was owned by a Michael Krott, K-R-O-T-T. The property went to the repository and was sold out of the repository March 22nd, 2021 to Randy Bunce. Randy Bunce then conveyed the property via quitclaim deed to Mr. Simmons May 23rd of 2024. Given, again, much like coming out of a tax sale, that those kinds of proceedings do not divest this adjudication dated September 25th of 2018. Therefore, we're asking for the board to approve the order for 388 South Ave, continuing this to be a public nuisance.
so this is a little different. You're asking us to make a motion to continue the public nuisance to the new owner.
Correct.
once, but Mr. Simmons is still the owner of record till deed recorded.
Correct.
So do you understand that? It's still your responsibility.
I
You
do.
can sell it, you can sell it and it
What I'm
doesn't
gonna
change
say
until
is-
there's a deed.
I understand that totally, and what I'm gonna say is, it is still in my name, yes. As soon as you guys do that, the gentleman will probably get a fire under his butt and go transfer the deed. Then you're gonna have to redo this again. So to alleviate that problem, you understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to help you guys out as well as you helping me out. And that's where I am trying to help the city. As soon as he'll probably transfer the deed, and then you'll have to go through the whole process again. Does it make sense? Not to me.
Well, I think from a legal standpoint, we have two issues here.
Sure.
The first issue is, the fact that you have told us this evening that you have a purchase agreement with a buyer.
Yes.
So if you get us a copy of that purchase
I
agreement
will.
and we have it on file, then, of course, we're gonna be coming back to you as we move through properties and saying, why hasn't it transferred
Sure,
yet?
sure.
But ultimately, you're responsible for the property until it transfers. But
Yes.
what we're being asked by the city to do is to do what we've done with any property that has been sold or conveyed and had a Board of Health order against it. And that's to move that Board of Health order formally to the next person. It's a simple motion. It's a piece of paper here, piece of paper to you. Yes, we will have to do that when the new owner takes over that property, but it is one of those legal formalities that we really need to do to assign the responsibility to the property. So we do have a,
And you know, I'm not responsible for it, I do know that, I'm not trying to
yeah,
say that, I do know that. I'm just trying to save everybody a step by, because I know as soon as I tell him, listen, you need to get this done, because this is what's happening, I'm sure then he'll probably, it'll give him the incentive to come and do
Yeah.
it. And I've been telling, it's not like I haven't been telling him, and I could show you guys messages after messages, I told him, look, you gotta get this done. This was supposed to be done long ago, it's not my fault that you got whatever going.
okay. We're looking for a motion to, yes, continuation of nuisance order.
I'll make a motion that we continue the nuisance order on 388 South Avenue.
One second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Board Member Gall,
Yes.
Board Member Lopez,
Yes.
Board Member Reel,
Yes.
Board Member Pecora,
Yes.
Board President Proper.
Yes. Okay, we've made it through the agenda. If there's no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
All right.
Anyone opposed? Meeting is adjourned.